Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to this week's Duchenne Method Q&A. Q&A live Q&A. This is where I attempt to demystify the mind-body connection for you to obtain optimal health. And so that hopefully some of these tools that I'm sharing and these conversations that we're sharing might support you, might be tools that you can use in your own life, that you can integrate yourself with daily practice. And we come back here every week to be reminded of tools. So repetition is the mother of skill. I certainly believe that. And so by being here every week, by spending some time together, by exchanging with one another, we get to practice. We get to practice all of these amazing, beautiful skills that are implementable in our lives, that are easily implementable. And the reason for it is because we are working together to raise our level of consciousness, so that we might live happier lives. When we tend to be in connection, in relationship to a higher level of consciousness, we tend to take things less personally. We tend to look at life from the glass half full perspective. So this is why I'm doing these lives, so that we can come together over the past 30 years of experience as a coach and a practitioner with my own practice in New York City. I've learned a couple of things. And so I'm here to share with you, more importantly, to share and interact with you. So this is why we have the little comments, and that you can share your comments with me, with the group, so that we actually practice the tools in live, meaning in, what do I want to say? In the moment, right now, together. So today I'm inviting you again into our circle of creation to do three things in specifically to acknowledge oneself and one another, to engage with oneself and with others, and to support oneself and others. And we do this through discussing topics of mind-body alignment. That's what I specialize in, mind-body alignment. And today we are diving in the topic of acknowledgement. Acknowledgement in the context of healing past hurts. Acknowledgement is one of the keys to ending and healing past hurts. So good morning, everyone. Let's see who's here. Good morning from Saint Martin via ASL. Awesome. Nicole and Ronald Hallman. Am I pronouncing this right? Welcome. What a pleasure to have you here. So wonderful. I'm so excited. So we have St. Martin in the house. We have Connecticut. Jenny is here. Caitlin is here. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning to you, gorgeous. Let's see. Who's calling me gorgeous? That's starting a live in a good way. I'm just checking on who's here with me now. Let's see what my assistant is writing for me. Natalie Geld, I should have guessed. Thank you, Nat. Good morning, gorgeous. Thank you for being here. Christiane Côté-Duchesne, my sister-in-law and brother, I believe, are here from Louisville, Quebec. We have Sophia from Italia. We have Pranjal. Namaste, my friend, from Italia. So we have a few corners of the world with us this morning. Welcome to this week's live. I'm really excited about this topic because it's one of the topics that is one of the three key components to my online coaching program that is launching this year. And the reason why I want to talk about acknowledging in the context of healing past hurts is specifically to begin by acknowledging ourselves, to be able to take a little bit of distance from what has occurred in our past and to reconstruct, so to speak, to begin again through the process, through the practice of acknowledgement. Good morning. Hi. Who is here? There are more people on the call. If you sign in with live stream, you should be able to write in the comments, and I should be able to see your name pop up. If I'm not mentioning you, just know that it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's only because I don't see you. I can't see your name. So I'm using a few different pieces of technology to assist me in identifying who's here. All right, my friends. So, acknowledgement, the importance of beginning a practice of acknowledging oneself. And, for some, depending on where you're from, depending on your education, it's not a common thing to acknowledge ourselves first. In some cultures, it's seen as something that might be selfish, that we should not put ourselves first, but that we might focus on others first. And I want to kind of debunk that logic or that belief system, not because it's wrong, only because I'd like to offer another option, another possibility into what's possible for us. So before we jump in, I am going to play my little intro, of which I am so proud that my team has created for me. It's a cute little intro. It's about 26 seconds. Here we go. Enjoy. Yay! I'm so excited about it. We spent a little bit of time on this. Thank you to my amazing team, to Nelson, Danica, who are amazing and are helping me to move forward into this next century with videos and little intros and such. So, okay, I love it. Thank you. You're sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the acknowledgement. The acknowledgement. Thanks, Jenny. Thank you, Pranjal. Thank you, Nat. Thank you, everyone, for your support. Okay, so also I do these little things because I'm trying to increase the quality of the type of work that I do online. It takes time to develop it. You all know. Many of you here are entrepreneurs and practitioners and dancers and artists and investors and so forth. And so it takes time, right? It takes time to develop something of quality. And that's also part of what I want to share and teach and invite you into, is to be resilient, is to try these practices to see if they might increase the quality of your life. They have increased the quality of my life, which is why I'm doing this. So to really look at what we're doing together here as something that has a foundation for improving, increasing the level of optimism, of positivity, of what works in life, as opposed to focusing on what does not work in life. There's plenty of that. What might happen if we start to focus on what's working in life? Without any further ado, I would like to share a few things about, excuse me, this week's topic of acknowledgement as key to ending past hurts. And specifically, I want to talk about the idea of acknowledging oneself to get more in touch with who you are and what do you need to hold on to or release so that you might become freer of your own past, of things in your past that might have hurt you, that are still an active ingredient into how you are living your life. Can any of you identify with this? Are you holding on to any past hurts that are guiding your life today, that might be influencing the filters through which you view your life today? And of course, you're welcome to share. I know it's a kind of a personal question, but this is a strong, intelligent, powerful, and I think mature group. And so it's very helpful when we can share with one another. God knows I have held on to past hurts. And until recently, I finally freed myself from them. It was a very long and arduous process for me personally. And at the same time, because I had a foundation in this philosophy of possibility, I was able, through the support of my family, of loved ones, that I chose to talk about it, that I didn't hide from it, that I suffered through it. There was this transformation that occurred on a daily basis, and something that I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to actually come through and regain my sense of center, like I wasn't sure that I was going to go through it. And I was talking to someone this week actually who feels the same way right now, that they're in this position where they can't see the forest from the trees. And so when we're stuck into the pain, into the suffering of hurt because of what someone else might have done to us, it's very difficult to shake, to shimmy our anger, our hurt. And so it makes us act weird in our own lives. We can become more disconnected. We can become less engaged in the beauty and possibility of life. Thank you. I'm getting some responses here. Jenny says, not on purpose, but of course I must be. Yes, not on purpose. That's a great point, Jenny. Sometimes we hold on to past hurts unintentionally. And this class today, we're going to try to dissect that so that even in your subconscious, there might be some areas where you're holding on to past hurts who are no longer serving you. In fact, they are influencing how you are behaving in your life today. That's pretty powerful. And it's especially powerful when you're unconscious, right? So the work that we do together is work of consciousness, is to bring us together, to realize, to bring some level of understanding around who we are today and what is it from the past that might have hurt us, that is limiting our full capacity to live in full expression today. Pranjal shares, I got hurt a few times when people used my honesty, hard work, and innocence for their benefit, to uplift their business, and eventually ended up cheating me. That hurt I carry sometimes. Thank you, Pranjal. Thank you for sharing. That's super vulnerable. I appreciate that. So yes, sometimes people take advantage of us. Sometimes people take advantage of us. And so if we can move into a relationship of acknowledging how we feel around that, and to be honest, Pranjal, and you correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the time there's nothing we can do about it. People are not always nice. People, and actually something super important about that, which is something that I've experienced also in my own life, is I noticed that when people, and I wrote that in one of my daily gratitudes today, that, sometimes other people can be annoying. They can. And what I realize is that when I'm annoyed by someone else, or when someone is annoying, I take a moment to really take a look at it, because I realize that they're hurt. They're also hurt. Enter the tool and practice of compassion, because hurt people hurt people. You've heard this expression before. If we're hurt, we're going to not be aligned within ourselves. We're going to feel also cheated. And when we feel cheated and when we're hurt, we tend to hurt others. That's kind of a vicious cycle. And so in this group, what we're doing here is we are practicing releasing, letting go of things that no longer serve us, because honestly, you're the one who's stuck with that emotion. You're the one who's stuck living through the filter of a past hurt, which is completely useless to you in this moment. Pranjal writes, it was so smooth, I got blinded. Now I am smarter. Ha 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 ha. Great. So it sounds like you have a sense of humor about it now. You probably won't work with those people anymore. You know that expression, once burnt, twice shy? So usually when people hurt us, we tend to shy away and we just don't engage with them as much anymore. And that's fair. The only distinction here is that we don't want to hold on to the story that we have about people who have hurt us. Okay, this is another big piece because people change. You know, maybe you also were not always perfect or honest in your life. Maybe you blindsided someone at some point in your life, non intentionally or maybe intentionally. And that through the process of life, you grew, you evolved, and you were able to change. Isn't that possible for others as well? Jenny writes, oh, that's what that means. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but okay. Anyways, so people change. In this group, we are practicing raising our level of consciousness. There are people in our past that have hurt us. They may or may not have changed. They might still not be great. We don't have to engage with them anymore. And there are some people in our past that have changed and that there might be a possibility for reconciliation. This is not what this class is about today, but it's a good topic for our next class. So I want to go back into the acknowledgement, the key to ending past hurts. Oh, once burnt, twice shy. Yes, Jenny, that's what that means. You get burned by someone from your past, someone betrayed you. That's a burn. You get burned once, you're twice as shy to engage with them or even with others. And here, isn't that interesting? When we get burned by someone, when we get hurt by someone, then we become more cautious with everyone. Isn't that interesting? Our protective mechanism, right? The amygdala that goes in the fight, flight, or freeze system of our body makes us cautious around everyone. And then we start to live our lives through that lens. I don't recommend it. And how do we prevent ourselves from living a life of being cautious all the time? Well, we have our daily rituals. We are reminded that just because one person is like that does not mean that everybody else is like that. If you were married and got divorced and it was a rough going with the divorce, it doesn't mean that the person you were married to is a reflection of all other people in your future. There are a lot of extraordinary people on this planet, and there's a lot of opportunity and chance to meet another person. And we have to be open to that possibility. One bad egg, that's another expression, right? One rotten apple spoils. What is that expression? One rotten apple spoils the fruit bowl or the apple bowl. Well, yeah, because what happens when something rots in a bowl, it affects all of the other fruits and vegetables in the bowl. If you don't take them out quickly enough, they also start to rot, which is why we do not want to find ourselves in toxic environments. Sophia shared something wonderful on our gratitude page today, on the Duchenne Method Facebook group page, and she was sharing how she was grateful because she had people in her life that helped her to identify toxic people. Like she has a place to go to be supported in identifying people who can be parasitic in their energy, right? There are people like that are parasitic in their energy. So that's an example of being able to be aware of those people. And instead of wishing them bad or wishing them negative energy, we just learn to grow ourselves and to notice when that happens and to simply walk away, to simply let it go. Because when we don't let go of past hurts, we start to live our lives through the filter of protection. And in many ways, it prevents us from full personal expression, from creative expression. from trusting others. It's very insidious. We don't always see it. It's not very obvious a lot of the time, but it starts to work on the inside. And you start to look at certain people crooked because you're not sure, because you've had a bad experience in the past with that type of person. And you see another person that reminds you of that type of person, and then it changes how you act towards them. Oh my God, human beings, right? We do this. We all do this. So here, what we want to do is practice being in a state of higher consciousness and being able to share and discuss and ask questions and share with one another what's happened in your life where you might have been hurt in the past. I have a question here. What if a family member humiliated you very low? Do you forgive or move further? You mean move further from them? Is this Nicole or Ronald asking? I see that you are a team and I love that. Just curious who is asking. Maybe both of you, maybe one of you. What if a family member humiliated us? What do we do? Do we forgive them or do we move further away from them? I think that's the question. Elise, welcome. Elise from New York is here. Awesome. Welcome. No, move on. It's Nicole. Okay, thanks, Nicole, for that distinction. Okay, you guys, let's support Nicole in her question. Thank you, Nicole. Fabulous question. How many of you have been hurt or humiliated or betrayed by a family member? Just put a 1 in the comments. If you have been hurt or humiliated or betrayed by a family member, you can put a 1 in the comments. Let's just take a poll here. 1, we have 1, we have 1. So you move away from the family. Okay, thank you, Nicole. So this is a really great question because so many of us have been hurt or humiliated or betrayed by our own family members. So Nicole, we're going to go back to acknowledgement. First of all, I want to acknowledge you for asking the question. More people are writing 1s, right? Okay. I want to acknowledge you for asking the question. Thank you. So you want to take that. Our family members are human beings. And I think some of the worst hurts that we've encountered in our lives are from our family members or people who are closest to us. It's complicated. Family dynamics can be very complicated. Now, my immediate response to you, Nicole, would be to explore the possibility of true forgiveness. And if it's a toxic environment, you absolutely move away. There is no reason to stay in an environment where someone humiliates us. That's not acceptable. So this is where the acknowledgement for yourself comes into place, that you decide for yourself, this was rather horrible. I was humiliated in this environment. I am going to choose to remove myself from this environment. And these are the key words, Nicole. I'm going to remove myself from this environment for now. Because remember, we talked about how the possibility of humans being able to change. So we want to keep that at the back of our heads. However, any environment that diminishes us, that humiliates us, that betrays us is not a healthy environment, whether it's your family or elsewhere. And of course, you understand that I'm sharing from a general perspective because I don't know the details. Okay. So any type of toxic environment that you find yourself in, if you've been betrayed, humiliation is a really tough one. Everything in your body is going to have a reaction to that, isn't it? And you know, Nicole, the other thing I want to say, and thank you for even mentioning it, it's very hard to forgive when we've been humiliated or when we've been betrayed. So there is a practice, and I'm going to share it with you. After our call today, I'm going to send you a forgiveness meditation that I use all the time that has profoundly helped me and help to change my relationship with betrayal and humiliation or minimization. And the first thing, Nicole, again, is to forgive ourselves. And it might sound counterintuitive, but it is the deepest level of forgiveness that you can practice. Because if you can forgive yourself, and maybe sometimes people will say, well, I don't have to forgive myself. They're the ones who did that to me. So, in the way that I am offering the practice of acknowledgement, forgiveness in this context, is to always come back to source, the source. 100% responsibility for ourselves. Not that you are guilty of the humiliation. This is something that happened to you. However, to take a step back from not getting caught up in the me-them dynamic, they humiliated me, so they are wrong. There's probably no question about that. However, that type of conversation is not helpful for your own healing. Of course, it was unfair. It was toxic. It was negative. I don't know what's happening with this person. But Nicole, remember, anyone who has humiliated you is suffering themselves. Hurt people hurt other people. So whoever this person is, and I might, you correct me if I'm wrong, but whoever this person is, they're also suffering from something. And that's what is so mind-boggling, right? Because we're suffering, we're unhappy, we're jealous. Humans are jealous. We have opinions about people. We belittle other people because they have more than we do, or they're more attractive than we are, or they have more money than we do. There's a plethora of reasons for this. So, to come back to center to ourselves, taking 100% responsibility for you, Nicole, for your health, for your life, for your heart, for the beautiful person that you are, noticing that this person is hurt themselves. Detach yourself. It's like Velcro sometimes, right? It's not that easy, especially if it's family and there's a family gathering. And let's say you get along with most of your family, but that one person is going to be there, or those two people are going to be there. And they're kind of like the rough ones, the toxic ones. How do we handle that in family environments? It's not easy. And it can still be done, Nicole, by taking care of you first. Acknowledging yourself first. Be honest with yourself. This doesn't feel good. I don't need to be in this environment. So yes, you take some space for now. Deal with these types of things one day at a time, because people have realizations. People oftentimes awaken. People oftentimes realize how unhappy they were at some point in their life, and they might well come around. That's the practice that we do here of compassion. It is not easy to do, and it is life-giving, because then you're no longer caught in the sensation of having been humiliated, right? Humiliation is correlated to shame. Like when someone humiliates us, there's a shame component that can occur here. And shame is a really toxic sensation to have, because then we start to belittle ourselves unknowingly some of the time. And then we feel bad. So yes, a little distance, and yes, practice forgiveness for yourself first, not for them first, for yourself first. And I'll send you the meditation, okay? Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you very much. Jenny writes, why are people so likely to continue to expose themselves to a toxic environment just because it's a family member? This is so confusing to me. Well, that's a complex question, Jenny, because, we want to forgive our family. We come from that family. We want to forgive our family. We want to believe that we come from a good family. We want to believe that people are better than they are sometimes. And it's true. A lot of the time, we will expose ourselves or accept toxicity from a family member rather than making space or walking away from that circle. Family dynamics are complicated and they're very tight. And there's all kinds of deep emotions that show up in family environments. Every time I visit my family, I'm the youngest of 6 children. So I have a very specific role in that place. I see it play out with my brothers and sisters all the time, myself included. We have a specific kind of role that we find ourselves in. My brother is one way, my other brother is another way. They see me as this way. I see my sisters in that way. There are some things that are very difficult to unravel when we have been brought up in a family milieu. So sometimes we will tend to be it's going to be harder to step away from the internal toxicity of family dynamics than to actually leave it, because a part of us also dies in that experience. It's really a complex topic, and one that we can certainly delve deeper into. Thank you, Jenny, for your question. Some people would never allow someone outside of their family to treat them that way. That's true. That's true. But that's the complexity of the human dynamism. There are several reasons for it. There's guilt. There's not knowing how to handle things in family dynamics because you are brought up in that environment. For a lot of us, we have had a lot of the same emotional experiences growing up from our parents. So my parents were different with every child in my family, is my belief. And yet at the same time, when we all get together and talk, there's a common emotional link to how we were brought up, to how my parents were with us, how emotionally present or not they were, or how they acted with the eldest as opposed to the youngest. And there are threads of emotion that are carried through the lineage of our family, certainly in my family. And you can imagine now, this is just my nucleus of family. Then I have aunts and uncles on both sides and grandparents, and then they have families and so on and so forth. So it's not a simple, excuse me, piece to dissect, and it's certainly worth exploring. Thank you for the questions, you guys. Thank you for being so involved. I appreciate you. Okay, I wanted to go over a couple of points. If you want to start ending those past hurts, moving through the practice of personal acknowledgement, and that means maybe being a little bit selfish in a positive way. One of the questions I want to ask you is, when you're holding on to past hurts, consider questioning if the pain is comfortable. Meaning, sometimes when you've been hurting long enough, you may get used to the emotional pain. To your point, Jenny, about staying in those family toxic environments, you might get used to the emotional pain. Maybe that pain feels safe and familiar. Maybe you've internalized it as part of your identity. Perhaps staying angry at that person is comfortable because you can also keep a distance from them. Growing pains are very real. Getting away from the things you felt and thought about for a long time can be uncomfortable, sometimes too uncomfortable. So we choose to stay in the discomfort because it's familiar and it feels safe. The process of healing, getting in touch with joy, peace of mind, are always on the other side of giving up that comfort of pain. And you know what I mean around the comfort. So here's the important part about being able to acknowledge if some of the pain you're experiencing has a level of comfortability. A good question to ask yourself is, why can't I let go of this pain? Why do I hold on to being in these circles? And let's talk about family for now, because some of you brought it up. Why do I stay in these circles? Why can't I let it go? Are there any secondary gains that you are receiving from keeping yourself focused on what hurts? That's a profound question. Are there any secondary gains from keeping yourself focused on what hurts? What else might you be getting? Because if you're staying in an uncomfortable situation, there are reasons for that. Again, sometimes the pain of healing is much bigger than the pain of staying in the discomfort. A few other questions that I want to offer is thinking about the past keeping you from trying new relationships or situations? Is thinking about the past keeping you from trying new relationships or situations? Do you avoid resolving emotional pain because this would mean facing it first? Do you avoid resolving emotional pain because this would mean facing it first? It's really tough if you're in a painful situation, friendship, marriage, work environment, with your the school teachers, with your family. We have to practice this. We have to practice facing the pain first and then acknowledging yourself for being able to face the pain first, much like you were sharing, Nicole, in relationship to having felt that humiliation. That's a really amazing step for you to even face the fact that that's how you felt. Do you see how important that is? And for you to feel acknowledged that you are able to feel the humiliation and clearly ask yourself questions around it. Why would I want to stay in this environment if I feel bad? Do you avoid resolving emotional pain? I'm sorry, I already asked that. Next question. How would your life be if you left the past in the past? How would your life be if you left the past in the past? And I know that it's hard to leave the past behind sometimes. It just kind of creeps up. But guess what, my friends? This is why we write our daily gratitudes on the Duchenne Method Facebook group page, because we are rewiring neural pathways. We are creating new habits. Some people say it takes 7 days. Some people say it takes 21 days. You know what? I think it takes a year. I don't think it takes 7 days to create a new habit. I think it takes longer than that. And I want to be honest about it because it's certainly taking me a long time to release past hurts. So we want to engage in this type of conversation and do these practices. This is why I call you into the daily practice of writing your gratitudes. Not so much because it's something you need to do or are forced to do, but something that will help you over time to continually focus on what's working. And if you're focusing on what's working, you tend to not think about your past hurts as much. And what does it mean for us to write our daily gratitudes and appreciations? It is a practice of personal acknowledgement. I'm going to take the time for me to write down these 5 points, these 5 bullets about what I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for the rising sun. I'm grateful for my breath. I'm grateful for my skin. I'm grateful for my dentist. I'm grateful for chai tea. Boom. But I think it takes longer than 7 days or 21 days. I know that there's a possibility of an opening within that time for sure. But to truly take on a new practice, let's give it a year. Let's give it a year. Why are we afraid of investing in things that are going to optimally improve the quality of our lives? Why are we afraid to laugh more often? Why are we afraid to love or to say to someone, hey, I love you? Do you know how hard it is for people to say that? Do you have that experience? Right? Give me some feedback. Are you someone who easily says, I love you? Or is that hard for you? For some people, they never say, I love you. It's not part of their practice. So I want to invite you to practice saying, I love you. I love you, my brother. I love you, my sister in law. I love you all who are here. You matter to me. It's so healthy to practice saying, I love you. Je t'aime. Je t'aime. I love you. If you say it more often, you will be amazed at how your relationships will change, especially with those where it's a little stickier. Jenny says it's gotten easier the more practice I've had. Wonderful, Jenny. And Nicole writes with much enthusiasm, I tell my husband and kids every day. Wonderful. Wonderful, Nicole. Thank you. Thank you for propagating love. You know, love is so underrated. Love is so underrated. We think, oh, you know, love everyone, and this kind of like skipping around, in the prairie of loving everyone. Yeah, why not? Why not do that? Instead of focusing on what's not working or on minimization or on the doom gloom of what's happening in the world. No, skip around and tell people you love them. There's nothing wrong with that. Integrate more silliness, more tools of happiness in your life on a daily basis. This is what really helps us to move into personal acknowledgement, to feel good. Hey, you're allowed to feel good, It's a good thing to feel good. Doing things that make us feel good will minimize the amount of mind share we invest in our past hurts. We have to create new patterns and habits. And I'm suggesting that we do those for 12 months as a practice. That's what I'm inviting you into. Practice does make perfect on some level. People say, oh, there's no such thing as perfection. I don't know. I think we can get pretty perfect at certain things. Maybe it's a bold thing to say, but why not? Why would I not want to focus on igniting more perfection or working towards perfection in my life? Not as a means to beat myself up, but as an inspiration, as something that pulls me forward. Why not? Awesome. All right, next, consider letting your past hurts out. What do I mean? Well, Nicole today has offered a perfect example for us. Consider letting it out. She named it. There is a lot of power in naming our past hurts, to be able to say something about them, to put them out there in the world, because somehow I am quite sure that Nicole is not the only one who has had those types of experiences within her family. Consider letting it out. So sometimes to heal, we need to let it out. We need to feel it out. Bottling up our thoughts and emotions will hurt us more in the long run, and it will make it harder for us to let things go, particularly if you keep thinking about the past and what harmed you. This is a really important part, because I want to say a couple of things about ruminations. Ruminating, thinking about it over and over and over again on the same negative thoughts, clearly affect our moods. They affect our relationships. They even affect how you are to be productive and or creative in your life. Ruminating is equivalent to sitting in a field of thorns where you're being pricked every side. You can't get comfortable. As soon as you move, you get another prick from somewhere else. That's what rumination is. In order to prevent rumination, we must be able to voice ourselves. To voice ourselves. For example, in circles like these, where we can share safely, honestly, where you know you will be supported and encouraged, where you will not be criticized, no matter what you may have done yourself in the past. This is why I want to encourage you to continue to practice the art of mindful communication. Be curious about how you might use language in a more loving way, in a more tender way. Notice how you speak with your spouse on a daily basis. Excuse me. Notice how you speak with your children, with your loved ones, with your family. Really practice mindfully sharing words of support without trying to fix them. We're not in the business of giving advice per se. We're simply here extending a heart of compassion. And when we practice that, that is another way in this context that I'm talking about to acknowledge oneself. And the more you acknowledge yourself for doing things well, so using mindful communication towards the self. Oh, and Marie, I'm so proud of you today for doing such a great job at your class. You prepared, you took extra time, you were tired last week, but you still sat down and you said, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 hour of focused and concentrated time. I put on my classical studying music. I sat down, I wrote it out. To acknowledge yourself. For example, my sister-in-law, Christiane, who is I will say a professional knitter. She knits incredible pieces of art, which I'm going to show to you pretty soon. I'm going to figure that out with her so you can see what she does. And so for her, for example, to acknowledge herself into what beautiful work she does. So every time I visit, she shows me another slew of amazing pieces she's done, right? And she's so talented at that. So to be able to express my love to her because what she does is beautiful. She puts so much time and love and energy into it. And of course, I feel that she's proud of her work, and her being proud of her work encourages me to be proud of my work. Remember the example of the rotten apple affecting all of the other apples in the bowl? Well, it's the same thing when you have a good apple. If you have a good, healthy apple in your environment, usually that's infectious too. So her success becomes my success because I'm so proud of what she's doing. I love what she's doing. She's super talented. And it reminds me of this level of skill that she has been practicing throughout her life. Right? She's been doing this for a long time. And she has these magnificent pieces of all types of wool. we're going to figure this out, Christiane. We're going to do this together because I really want people to see what you're doing. And it's handmade, right? And so that's the other thing. So this level of self-acknowledgement, to be able to come back to ourselves. Do not ruminate. Well, how do we not ruminate over the same thoughts over and over and over again? And FYI, I am certainly responsible for that also. And I have trained myself. As soon as something comes into my mind that is from the past, actually, oh, by the way, I have a question for all of you. I pick a word at the beginning of every year, one main word that I want to work on throughout the year. Many people do this. I wonder, maybe you have chosen a word for this year. And if you haven't, maybe you can share with me now. Maybe you can choose a word right now. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because I decided that I will not ruminate anymore this year, right? So whenever a worry or a hurt from my past appears in my consciousness, I have chosen the word for 2023 for me, reprogram. As soon as a feeling of hurt from my past enters my consciousness, the word I say out loud is reprogram, Anne-Marie, reprogram. So I immediately shift my attention and I go like, I literally, with my body, I literally go, it's in the past, it's over, it's done with. And I say something to bring me back to center in the present moment in appreciation of where I am today. So let's say, I'll give you an example. A thought, a hurt from my past shows up in my consciousness. I notice it. I say, oh, Anne-Marie, reprogram. And then I go, yes, I'm reprogramming myself. I'm so grateful for my beautiful home and that I get access to this technology of reprogramming, for example. So, yes, somebody said I am a huge ruminator. Who's this? I'm going to see the name. I love you too, Elise. I'm looking at some of the comments here. I love you too, Elise. Thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you. Okay, so how do we deal with rumination? How we deal with letting go? Stacy. Oh, hi, Stacy. Hi, honey. Yeah, I know. It's hard, right? Definitely a work in progress. Yes, and it's possible. So, Stacy and everyone else, here are some tools for us that we can leave with today, okay? So, I'm going back to my notes here. Now, none of these that I'm going to share with you are things that you don't know about. There's very little new out there, by the way. I just want to say there are very few new techniques. There is a deepening of techniques, right? There are maybe things we don't know about, but in terms of practices that you can do to assist you in increasing the quality of your life, in practicing self-acknowledgement as a means to releasing past hurts. I mentioned mindful communication. Give me your word for the year, you guys in here. Give me your word. Choose a word. Choose a word right now for 2023. What is one word that could be your guiding light for 2023? Mine is reprogram. As soon as I have a thought, Nicole, by the way, as soon as I have a thought, Nicole, from my past that is hurtful, or where I might have been humiliated or dismissed, anything that makes me feel bad, my word is reprogram, Anne-Marie. I put myself back on and I'm like, yes, I'm reprogramming myself right now and I'm letting go. Great. Pranjal wrote accountability. Awesome. I think Stacy said, let go. Beautiful. Elise shares integration. Awesome. Beautiful words. It's very helpful to have a word guide us. Sophia says, my word is resilience. You have it to me a few days back and it worked out well. Oh, good. Okay, awesome. I'm glad whatever I said might have been of support to you. Okay, beautiful. We have accountability. We have let go. We have integration. We have resilience. Jenny says, affection. Everyone teases me that I have the worst hugs. Touch is hard for me. Yeah, honey. Affection. I love you, Jenny. I know, sweet pea. That's awesome. Yes, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard, right? Hugs are hard to give. I know it's not easy. I had to learn how to hug. And Jenny, you know who taught me how to hug? It was Cecilia. Cecilia is the reason why I became a good hugger. So, and you know, I know you'll appreciate this little piece, right? Okay, my friends. So all of you, come on, share what is your word for the year? There are more of you. Of course she did. Yep, she did. Who else has a word for the year? Don't be shy. She was a great hugger. She still is, I suspect, although I haven't hugged her in a while. Who else has a word for the year? Don't be shy. Share with us. It's so helpful when we share with one another. All right, my friends. So I want to leave you with this. Activities that you can do to release past hurts, ruminations. Mindful communication. Of course, exercise as much as you can, even if it's rolling on the floor. Joining groups of people who do things that you love. So, for example, our group is a loving group, meeting new people in healthy environments and not speak of your past. So, when you're joining a new group, in certain, not this one, here I encourage you to share in this way. Other groups that you might join, you join a new group, new people, prevent yourself from talking about your past, especially negative past. Focus more on moving forward, on what you want to move towards. Of course, journaling, which we're doing every day on our group page, and I hope more of you will join us. A great tool is writing a letter to the person who has hurt you in the past. You don't have to send the letter to them. Nicole, that might be another great tool for you, to write a letter to the person where you felt humiliated. Write a letter to them, an honest letter to them. You don't have to send it to them, but it's a really great practice to let all of your anger out into that letter. It's very effective. Okay. Expressing your pain through art or play. So to become more creative, to doodle, to draw, play more, laugh more. Today, I sent you, in my gratitudes, I added a link to a comedian that I really enjoyed last week. Take a look on the Duchenne Method Facebook group page and see what I posted there. And if you can watch it, it's hilarious. So I've been watching a lot more comedians last year and also beginning this year. We are what we do. Love this. Yes. Our what? I'm not sure what you're asking, but okay, we're at the end of our time already. Thank you all. Thank you all. Was this a helpful class? Your feedback is so important to me. Please let me know if this is helpful. Also, please let me know what you would like me to speak about. Sabi has already requested a class on the topic of silence, which I am taking definitely into consideration. Nicole said, be aware. Good. Awesome. Vigilance, ma chère. Vigilance. Fantastic. Thank you. Elise says, wonderful. Thank you. Jenny, yes, it's already over. Yes, it's been an hour. Very helpful. Thank you. Love you. I love you right back. This was an incredible healing session. Wonderful. Yes, this topic was helpful. Awesome. Please feel free to share with me. How about a class on diets and foods? Okay. Thank you, Pranjal. I will put that in my notes. Roseanne, hi. I caught part of this. You're doing awesome work. Thank you, Roseanne. Roseanne is my beautiful Blackfoot sister. I'm so happy to see you here. Thank you, sweetheart. How awesome. Oh, yes, please. I'm interested in silence. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Give me your recommendations. If you're not on the Duchenne Method Facebook group page, please join us. You don't have to write a gratitude every day, but I'm going to encourage you anyways. Make it a practice because all of you have so much knowledge to share. Roseanne is an incredible artist, a beautiful Blackfoot sister who is an incredible artist. We'd love to have you in the group, Roseanne. I love you too, sweetheart. Have a beautifully blessed day, my love, and to you, my love. Kids, friends, amigos, thank you. Love to all. I will see you next week. Stay in alignment, in integrity, and be sure to acknowledge you a whole lot this week. Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.